Maybe time to put you away for a little bit, little buddy. It may be time to put you away for a little bit. Maybe when Anthony Edwards becomes available. Because I know the mechanism after this was like, all right, who's the next guy we're going to go after for the Miami Heat? I don't know if I can take anymore, man, to be honest with you, when it comes to these whale chases. You know, nobody loves making whale sound, more than me. I'm not even going to do it right now. I'm too sad. But, God, the thing that I think just keeps bumming me out, this was the guy I really want. Like, if you ever told me that there was a guy who wasn't on the Heat, that the Miami Heat really had a crack at, like really, and things were going to line up, and he wanted to come here, and he was actually going to leave Portland, and he was going to say his number one destination on the record was the Miami Heat, and all things were there. I would have said, basically, move everything you can get to get him. I love Damian Lillard. Dude's a shark. Would have been perfect for Jimmy and Bam. And, there's a lot of angles to take out of this, and I'm not going to say that the Heat weren't frozen out here from a spite perspective. But you have to look at this from a couple of terms. Were the Heat too arrogant, or was Portland too spiteful? Because ultimately, maybe it was both, because maybe Portland would have gotten a better deal from Miami, but nobody ended up worse in this than Miami. Even with Portland making whatever cuckoo deal they did with getting DeAndre Ayton, whatever you think of him as a player, or thinking that they're going to get a haul of picks for Drew Holiday, even though Drew Holiday fetched 3 times the amount of picks when he went to the Bucks 3 years ago than they got for Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard going for 1 first-round pick is crazy. Ultimately, whatever you think, nobody had a worse day yesterday than the Miami Heat, and it's not just because they don't have Damian Lillard. It's because Damian Lillard went to the Bucks. And that is the thing that kills you, is because Milwaukee got a whiff of Giannis being disgruntled, and they basically hit a grand slam for him. So if he does end up leaving, Giannis just didn't want to be in Milwaukee. Maybe they don't win the championship, maybe they win the championship, but there's not a person on this earth who could say, hey, the Bucks didn't do right by Giannis. They've already won a championship, first of all, when they got him Drew Holiday, and he keeps banging his head up against the Heat. He bangs up his head against the Heat again, and what do? They get him Damian Lillard. And I do think, as a Heat fan, we're sitting here, and it's been very noble to go with this core since 2020 or since 2021, the core of Jimmy, Bam, and if you want to extend it to Tyler and Duncan, you've been doing since 2019. But the one move you could really look at and say, oh, the Heat really tried improving, was they went and got Kyle Lowry. They went and got Jimmy's guy, which is not nothing. I know Kyle Lowry has not been the sexiest. I was not the hugest Kyle Lowry fan. I wouldn't describe Kyle Lowry as a whale, but it was a big move for the Miami Heat. I mean, hell, they gave him 3 years, $90 million. They got slapped on the wrist for tampering. Other people wanted him. So it wasn't nothing, but it ain't Dame. It ain't Dame. And you haven't had that move for Jimmy Butler, specifically for Jimmy Butler, because Pat Riley has continued to say, at every one of these press conferences he's gotten him, I want to be around for this build. And every time you say this build, you're talking about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler just turned 34. So, yeah, I think that Portland probably acted like a bunch of babies. I think that feelings were definitely hurt. I think that they felt like they were getting hoodwinked here a little bit because of it seeming very orchestrated. It's not something the Heat haven't done before. They work in the shadows. They do have guys. Goran Dragic went out publicly while on the Suns and told him, I don't trust. He told the media, Gogi told him, I don't trust the Suns, and ended up getting moved to the Heat for 2 first-round picks. Gogi went for more first-round picks than Damian Lillard did yesterday. So, look, the Heat had a couple of things go against them. Sure. A spiteful Joe Cronin, a Damian Lillard who would only push so far because Cronin tried to fight back, right? And did so, I guess, well, in his eyes, if he feels like this is the best deal for him, even though I can't imagine that the Heat couldn't top it. But he ultimately went to the league, whined about it, got statements out, put verbal handcuffs on Damian Lillard. And, Damian Lillard knew there was a line that he could cross. Like, there was a thing where we had some people I knew that had like some positive stuff with Dame. But he let them know, he's like, I appreciate it, but I can't repost what you're doing because I'll get fined. So you'd only go a little bit as much as he could. Now, he did make the podcast rounds pretty recently, and again, kind of spoke on the outskirts of, will they do what I do? Will they do right by me? But this is where you kind of got to tip your hat to Cronin, because while you get sent to. Well, you didn't get sent to Miami. Nobody could really look at a basketball standpoint of him getting sent to Giannis Antetokounmpo and being said, well, the Blazers did wrong by Dame. The thing that's just crazy about it is how in the blue hell did the Bucks get Damian Lillard for Drew Holiday? How did that happen for Drew Holiday and a pick? How did they get Damian Lillard for way less than they got Drew Holiday? And then, and if that doesn't have the Heat front office looking at themselves in the mirror and be like, where are we bleeping up here? What is our price point when we get into these situations? Because everybody seems to want the Heat, right? They're on everybody's list, legitimately. And I mean, I know everybody's on the Heat's list, but legitimately we've known, Damian Lillard only wanted to be here. Kevin Durant put us on the list with Phoenix. Donovan Mitchell, we know wanted to be here. We know Bam wanted him here. And, even if you want to stretch it out to Kyrie Irving, James Harden. And I'm not saying some of those guys aren't without their flaws. I do think that this guy in particular, this was so set up for you and so the perfect guy, character-wise, fit-wise, how good he is, whether he's worth it. Where do these things keep going wrong for Miami? Because they only seem to be able to take these moves when nobody, and I mean nobody else is in the game for him. When Jimmy has a Molotov cocktail to Philadelphia and he's done because the coaches and the owners are done with him. When, Kyle Lowry is finally on the outs in Toronto. I wonder if they're thinking to themselves today, is it us? Is there any point of the Heat where they're like, is it us? What are we doing that's not getting this done? Because one of the things that I'm struggling with this whole thing is this lack of communication that appeared to go on. Well, I don't understand that. At what point did we get to these negotiations and Cronin was just so shut off by all of this? Was it because he felt embarrassed? Was it because he felt handcuffed? And how do you not smooth that over? For example, even the Heat, when LeBron came down here, were able to go back and work something out with the Cavaliers and get a sign and trade. Now, that ended up being a terrible move for the Heat because LeBron left after 4 years, but the whole point of it was to get LeBron a longer contract with the Heat. But they were even able to smooth things over there. Why did it get to this point? And some things that are just kind of sticking with me that are weird about this is Dame's agent, Aaron Goodwin. He came out with a statement to Anthony Chang. And I found this to be so strange. Because I don't know when you ever hear this, but he said, and this from Anthony, Aaron Goodwin on the Heat's pursuit, quote, "They did everything they could to acquire Dame. It takes two to get a deal done. I appreciate Pat, Andy, and Mickey. I appreciate all that Pat, Andy, and Mickey did to try and make this happen." So that's a really strange one because I never hear a statement like that about a trade that didn't go through. Usually it's you thank the former team. You don't thank the team you never went to. That's just odd. So definitely there was some weirdness here. I'm not saying that Portland definitely didn't do things out of spite, but I want to know, how could the Heat have handled this better? How could they have bleeped it up so bad that they seemingly set up the perfect guy friends with your second best player, approved by your best player, wants to be here, agent working with you. GM feeling a little embarrassed. How could they have gone back and made that better? How? Is there any way? Is there anything? I don't know if we'll ever know. But what I do know is it was to a point where he ended up on your biggest rival. And that's bad. If I could just say anything, that's bad. And I just want to, I just look at this and I'm feeling just a little bit confused by all of it, you know? Because it's not the first time where it's happened where the Heat kind of overplayed their hand when it came. This happened with Jimmy in Minnesota. Ended up working out for him because they got him on the cheap skis, yes. But he did go to a Philadelphia team that almost went to the finals. You know, so it could have gotten really, really bad. So I don't know. I think that's where I'm at after all this stuff today. It was funny. Some of the stuff on social media was funny though. I was so upset that I could only laugh at a lot of stuff, like Jimmy Butler calling tampering, and then Tyler Hero coming back and him doubling down on what Jimmy Butler said, where he goes, what he said. Because Tyler Hero, I used to say Tyler Hero had a black belt in trade rumors. The dude deals with trade rumors. He is like the Hoist Gracie of trade rumors. I'm taking that back. The dude is the Floyd Mayweather of trade rumors. He has not just the black belt, he has all the gold. He has all. This man is the champion of dealing with trade rumors, and he's dealt with it great. He's done the cryptic tweeting fantastic. He even had one yesterday where it was like, oh, Tyler Hero with multiple teams. You got to give it up for Tyler. He's handled all this in stride. And then he comes out with it with an absolute gem where he posts on Instagram minutes after all this happens, and he goes, he doesn't do the motion, but he just puts the caption, time spent. That's funny. Funny's funny. That's funny from Tyler Hero yesterday. Josh Richardson came out yesterday, and he was letting everybody know that he is happy that he finally gets to pick his number. So that's good for Jay Rich. He's back. He's ready to roll. And from a basketball standpoint with the Heat, they have to I think for me, I think I'm done harpooning for a little bit. I really do. I think that this was as good setup for you as it could get. People, let's go after Embiid. First of all, I'm not the biggest Embiid guy. Second of all, how many times are we going to do this with everybody? I think this is finally my breaking point when it comes to whaling. I think I want to put my harpoon away. I think I'm putting my harpoon away until it's Anthony Edwards. I think I'm going to give it a couple years. I'm just rolling with this team till the wheels fall off because I can't take this anymore. This was 90 days, basically, 3 months, maybe more, because really, like, his first fodder happened with the Brian Custer interview, and I don't know how many people watched that. It's on my YouTube page. But Brian was the first guy to interview Dame about this, and Dame, that was the one. If people don't know, the viral clip where you saw, if you were to go, where would you want to go? And he said Miami, obviously. That was before like the official Shams trade request. So I had Brian on yesterday, and Brian has obviously a relationship with Dame and his people, and he goes, yeah, I mean, Dame's people think that Portland was embarrassed and they didn't want to deal with it. He was and here's the thing that's crazy about it. He tells you that, and then he also revealed in the interview, he goes, Dame let me know his relationship is so good with Ben. They talk every day. So it's kind of crazy to me that you're telling me Dame and Bam talk every day. Or let's just say they talk a few times a week. Let's slim it down because summers get busy. They call a few times a week. I went to Bam, and Bam kind of had that tongue-in-cheek look of like, cat ate the canary look of like, could happen. And throughout all that time, the Blazers and the Heat just no talks. And it got so bad, reportedly, that Dame's agent got cold feet and apparently went to the Bucks, the Nets, the Raptors, and apparently the Raptors deal kind of got scrubbed out. But it went to the Bucks, went to the Nets, and said that Dame now would be okay going to you. And when the Heat completely lost that, they were completely out. But still, through all of that, felt like, even with that happening, that the Heat had just lost all communication with Joe Cronin. And yeah, that to me that's a failure. I don't want to sugarcoat that. Like the Heat screwed up in that standpoint. And if they're gonna come at me and say, "Oh, well, he's 33, he's got this dude, come on, dude. Hey, it's Damian Lillard. You got Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's 34. Okay, you want to be a championship team, then you pay the piper with those 60 with two guys in their age making 60 million. I know you don't like doing it. You didn't want to do it with D Wade, but you got to pay the piper when it comes to that stuff. And I do not, trust me when I tell you, I do not want to hear anybody disparage the talents of Damian Lillard and tell me, oh, it wasn't going to be worth it. Like, please. That to me, you can't spin that on me. Okay. With other guys, maybe. You could do that with a James Harden. I got James Harden's flaws. You could do that to people with Kyrie. All right, Kyrie's is tough to have in a locker room. You know, when it comes to guys like Damian Lillard, Kevin Durant, they're bona fide, dude. You can't spin that for me. All you can do now is adjust. And look, I still love this team. I still am going to root my ass off for this team, and I cannot wait to see a few things. I can't wait to see whether Tyler Hero can take that leap, because this is now on Tyler's. Look, you now have the championship belt of trade rumors, but the real way he can get this to settle is we see that leap this year when the Heat get to the postseason. Tyler is that go-to guy, and he's developed in every way. Look, he's hitting that age where that should be that should be what he does now. He's 23. He says, what did he say? His trainer, writing on the board, I want to average 26. Great. The Heat have some things to figure out from a point guard standpoint. I mean, they still have Kyle Lowry on the roster, but him and Tyler haven't been the greatest fit. If Tyler's going to be your main ball handler while also wanting to be a guy that ups his average by 6 points a game, I don't know how great a fit that's going to be. It's not impossible, but between him, seeing what Jokic is going to be, very excited to see what Caleb Martin's going to do with another year of Heat under his belt and big money on the horizon for him, and Haywood Highsmith. I like a lot of guys in these rosters. I don't buy the BS for people who say this is a 30-win team. I got some Heat fans yesterday. Oh, it's a 30-win team. Shut up. No, they're not. People, they're a lottery team. No, they're not. No, they're not. Are they the favorite? No. The Bucks should be the favorite now. They got Damian Mother Bleeping Lillard with Giannis. But, they still, when it gets down to a playoff series, that's a completely different Bucks team now with Damian Lillard. And it's going to be interesting to see how this develops all throughout the year. But, yeah, man, ultimately I still wake up today very, very disappointed about what happened yesterday. Very disappointed that the Heat seemingly had a layup and somehow, fumbled the snap. Pat Riley and Andy Ellsberg turning into Connor Williams, like fumbling the snap in the red zone, and Damian Lillard's not on your team, and somehow he's on your biggest rival. So that's it is a tough pill to swallow, but I'm still looking forward to the season. Like I'm not jumping off the Heat ship. It's just like I thought they were getting Dame. They don't have Dame. Somehow Giannis has Dame. That's infuriating.